Oh, welcome to Sensei Speaks Life Without the Filter, where we wake up the wisdom, we confront the truth, and we learn the lessons that help us grow into our best selves. My name is Paula Bell, and I am your host for the evening. This is season 1, episode 6, where we will continue our discussion on why we struggle to connect as Black people, specifically focusing on lived experiences, the stories that shape us. This episode is sponsored by Black Excellence Iowa, a nonprofit in Iowa focused on bringing awareness and influence to bridge gaps and strategically develop and connect our Black community, and advocates with opportunities that would otherwise be difficult to obtain. So we, of course, want to thank them for sponsoring this episode. But before I jump in and I introduce our panelists, I have a couple of disclaimers. First, I am not a therapist and will not offer any medical advice. I am not trained, qualified, or able to diagnose or treat any form of mental illness or disorder, and some topics may be triggering. So please take space if you need to. Please interact with us via chat or comments, and if you have any questions, post them in the chat, as we may be able to answer them live for you. Also, remember to subscribe to the Life Coach Sensei YouTube channel, and you can also find the show Sensei Speaks Life Without the Filter on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So let's jump right in and let me introduce and bring to the stage our esteemed panelists. First up is Miss Jazzmine Brooks. Second is Miss Patricia Barbee. Third is Josh Terrell. And finally, we have Big Newton. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How are y'all doing?
Fantastic.
All right. But before I jump in with questions, there's something I need to say, and I will tell you right now, the panelists did not know I was going to bring this up, but I think it needs to be said. As we talked about lived experiences, I truly believe everybody has some lived experiences right now. If you see what's going on in Minnesota, I would be remiss without bringing this up. You all know I own my own company. I'm out in the community quite a bit. And what I'm seeing happening now in Minnesota that was already occurring in Chicago and in other parts of the nation is quite disturbing. This has been the lived experiences of other people for a while now. This isn't new to some of us. Certain demographics, this is our history. This is what has been going on for centuries, decades, hours, weeks, days, minutes. This is how we live. But now this is impacting everyone. And so I'm not really sure where everybody might stand when it comes to what's going on currently right now. But what I will tell you is this. Number one, support each other, encourage each other. These are hard times. It's impacting everyone. So these are definitely hard times. Number two, stop the judgment. I may not show up at certain things because it's just not safe for me to show up at certain things just because of the way I look. Let me keep it real. That is still a very real thing right now. Some people fight strategically in other ways, and some people fight. Patricia will get to that in a minute. And some people fight in other aspects. And so some people might protest. Some people might actually go to Congress. Some people might go to their legislators. Let people show up and strategize and fight in the way that they know how to and in what feels comfortable to them. So I'd be remiss without bringing it up. It's a lot going on. It's really, really heavy out here. We're seeing a lot. We're experiencing a lot. And we need to be there for each other as much as possible. And again, what I'm seeing happening and how I'm seeing ICE showing up in these places, it actually angers me. I'm not going to get into that. That's a whole nother podcast. I'm not going to get into that, but I did want to mention that it takes a village. So let's start getting into that village mindset and working as a collective and not as individuals. It's going to take all of us to apply pressure, and we all can apply pressure in different ways. So I just had to say that because it's really been heavy on me. I will open it up to anyone else, any of the other panelists. You do not have to speak on this if you don't want to, but if you have anything to share, by all means. Otherwise, we will jump into the session. All right, that was easy enough. Well, today we're back with part 2, y'all. So part 1 was pretty, it was good. Part 1 was good. I heard a lot of great feedback from our first part on the roots and the ruptures. And that particular episode opened up a lot of other topics, which brings us to the topic today on lived experiences. So I'm going to actually jump right in, and I'm going to actually, so that everybody's voice gets heard um, in a good amount of ways, I'm going to call people out to answer certain questions. And then if you feel like you or just have something in that you just need to say, we're gonna get it out. Okay. So one of the things that we talked about last time is how where you grew up shapes how you communicate, shapes how you move, shapes how you build relationships, and all of that. So I want to first start for anyone on the phone who migrated to the US, who came from a different area. You weren't born here. Or even if you have connections, for those who migrated to the US, how did reality differ from what media or TV portrayed? Big, I'm going to start with you first because you brought this up a little bit. So I'm going to start with you first, and then I'll probably move over to who else might want to answer this question.
So just clarity, just one, like, what was the transition, or what essentially? Um, Ask me that one more time, Paulo. What? I want to make sure I'm answering the
How,
question.
yep, yep, no problem. How did reality differ from what the media or TV portrayed when you actually got here?
That's a good question. I think it took me a while to soak into, or to embrace the reality of the different the different culture and the different understanding of even learning sensitivity. So two main components. One, yes, I'm from a country that's predominantly black, of African descent, and when you have, I mean, they would call just light skinned or fair complected black people, they would consider them almost like a different race, essentially. Uh, like my daughters are biracial, and some of their cousins, just they would still consider them white, or there's a term that's used for fair complected people in my country. But then after I became here, we growing up in a very modest home. Like, we didn't have cable until I was well into late junior high. And then once I got into late junior high and high school, I started inflecting or reflecting kind of on, that's when media became applicable, because that's when I started gaining context. Because even growing up, I mean, the innocence of a child, like, I didn't really know what I was listening for. Um, and then once I got older, and then my sister, who was a couple years older than me, she started talking about her experiences. She went to a another academy. She went to a different school, and that's when she started having conversations about the different types, right? The different types of black, the different type, what some of the things we experienced. And then even my dad being in a pastoral role, we had a small church. So, for lack of better terms, I was very, very sheltered from information before I actually got a chance to really engage with the people, other people's life experiences. And that's when it started really shaping um, or helping me to rediscover or to uncover some ignorance that I had as it pertains to different people. And then, so that was a segment of time. And then, even now, Des Moines, having, like I told you guys last time, seeing how I was more relatable to the Latino community simply because of foods and music and those kind of things. Didn't even recognize that there was a difference in culture until I start kind of hearing about, like, the proverbial black card, or not eating certain foods, or asking some of the ignorant, the unknown questions of, why do you guys say that? Why do you do that? Why, like, and asking questions that, because of my skin complexion, almost being asserted of, why don't you know that? And so a lot of that, so that really shaped um, my experience. It really took me to a long time, probably till my late teens, and I graduated high school at 16. So I had really between 13 and 16 to really start hearing, if I had liked someone of a different race, or why do you like her? Like, I don't know, because she's cute. And it wasn't until after I started getting into um, high school when I started realizing that, there's something here because no school really accurately talked about Black history in its right context. No one talked about, some of the struggles or anything like that. So I was looking for familiarity in culture than I really was looking at familiarity with skin color. That didn't come until later on.
Okay. Okay. Has anyone else on the phone migrated to the US? You were not born here. All right. All right. So I got a question for Jazzmine. I'm going to start with you next. Yes, ma'am, you're up. What blinders did you carry or have you carried earlier in your life that you realized that you didn't realize was there?
Regarding like what culture, race, ethnicity,
Identity.
identity.
Identity. Yep.
Hmm. Um, I think the big thing for me, we moved to Vegas when I was 16 years old, so like the day of my 16th birthday. I had not had any exposure to non-Black or non-Latino people. Um, and so when I moved there, I was very curious because, watched the movies like Clueless and Buffy the Vampire Slayer, The Babysitter's Club. I grew up on all that, right? So I was like, I don't know what they look like or what they do or how they eat. I didn't know, right? I'm like thinking they just happy because that's what I see on TV. Yeah, that wasn't what happened. I always tell my friend, I was telling my friends the other day, I said, when I turned 16, we moved to Vegas. I moved in a predominantly white neighborhood, went to a predominantly white school. That was the first time I ever got that type of exposure. And I just wasn't sure about how to navigate it. I had a lot of issues through the months of us living there. And I'm sure my parents did as well. They hid it. But my brother was like having the time of his life. He was, in sixth grade. So he was still very young and curious. And I think for him as a male, playing sports was an easy way to get into a lot of spaces. I didn't have those things. So trying to find that community, that space that looked like me, that, read like me, listened to the same music, those types of things were few and far between. So I hung out with um, a lot of indigenous folks. I hung out with a lot of Latinos. And so, yeah, I think that was always the blinder of like not knowing. And I never, when I think about like knowing my Blackness, I never learned from a perspective of like a deficit. And so I remember my mom made me sit down and watch Roots for the first time. I was like 17. And she made me watch the whole thing the whole day. And I remember I could not leave the house because I was like, what is this? And I knew about slavery. I knew about the Reconstruction era. I knew about Jim Crow. I knew about those things. But to see it in that way, from that perspective, when I'm growing up in the 90s, it's like, what is going on, right? And I always say the 90s was the best time, or 90s, early 2000s, like the best time for Black people. We had all the colors. We had New Jack City. We had all of that. And so I was just like, this double-edged thing kind of happening of me having this full-on experience with non-Black, non-Latino people, and then having this like other side of being so excited about being Black because I'm seeing us on TV and hearing us um and all that. So yeah, just I think even as today I'm 37, moving, I was not, I was home for me now. I've been here 10 years, so I can officially say, yeah, I've paid taxes for 10 years, so we say that's home. But not being from Iowa is just still always a surprise. Like when I come around folks from rural Iowa, like always having those experiences in my job is always like giving me a surprise. And I think I probably like purposely carry the blinders because I think the alternative to that is feeling unsafe. Reading into all of the body language, the lack of like them speaking to me, thinking that I'm a coordinator, not a director, right? Like I think it would cause me to read into things that would make me feel small, right? So I think I purposely carry the blinders now because I think that's the easiest thing to do to navigate space.
Oh, wow. That's deep. That's deep. So you didn't have the blinders then, but you have them now because you actually don't have that feeling of belonging and inclusivity at all. So you feel you have to have the blinders up. Now
Mm-hmm.
that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
JT, did you have blinders early on in your life when it came to identity that you didn't realize that you had being a Black male?
Yeah, I did, and similar to Jazzmine, I had two parts of my childhood or development, and the first half, and they're almost a dichotomy, right? So the first half up through about sixth grade or so, birth through sixth grade, I grew up in Chicago, and no father around, so it's kind of the village that was helping to raise you. We and Chicago was a very different place at that time too. I will say. I mean, we wore white shirts and blue pants, and we had to iron our clothes every morning. So it was almost like an academy that parents at that time took pride in, right? And so, in addition to that, we knew our Black history, we sung it, right? And I think my blinders at that point, again, similar to Jazzmine, I seen one white person. It was this white guy named Billy that came by our church. And we used to wonder why Billy keep coming by here. He seems like a nice guy, but why Billy keep wanting to sing with us? Well, Billy was just cool people. And then after sixth grade, during sixth grade, things started getting bad. And my mom wanted to move us up north. So it was a suburb of Chicago. So we get up there and I'm looking around, and it was a microcosm of the world, right? All of a sudden, I was the minority, right? And majority white, but then some Latinos, and just kind of a melting pot. And so now you have this fish out of water, just trying to figure out, how to navigate the world, and you're hearing, dealing with racial slurs, right? And you're trying to figure out why is this different than where I came from, and so I think at that point, I joined athletics, which was my meal ticket to college, and I put up blinders, right? And my blinders at that time was to focus on doing what I could do, right? Focus on getting out of a statistical lifestyle, being able to get an education, and do some things that I think would be meaningful or successful. And so, I was blessed to be surrounded by a lot of great mentors and coaches through college. I had some success competing, and that transferred and translated to my career, right? Going into sales, and in a sales environment, is you eat what you hunt and kill, and so I felt like I can control that, and I was, and things were going well, but my blinders were up, right? Control what you can. The rest of the world, all this stuff is just noise. Get to where you're going. Until 2020, right? So I moved to Iowa in 2007. So fast forward college career, 2020, where George Floyd was murdered, and all the racial and social unrest. I just remember looking on social media and seeing comments and just narratives that people wrote that I thought I knew. And those blinders just started crumbling, right? And I realized that I had suppressed my identity and, just tried to camouflage and be who I think part of what the world wanted me to be, part of what I selfishly wanted out of myself and family, and nothing else really mattered, right? So those came crashing down. I saw the world around me. I saw people around me. I heard differently, and that's what ultimately gave way to Black excellence, right? Taking influence that I had amassed to really give that away to people that look like me. And so, prior to that, and I think a lot of people in our space and our, in the Black community still feel that way, right? And I think we can notice that, hey, I just want to take care of me. This is my space, brother. This is my space, sister. I'm just doing me. I'm not trying to worry about anything else or everything else. And so, I understand that very clearly, and sometimes know that an inflection point or some type of intervention has to happen to elicit that.
So what I find very interesting as I heard both you, Jazzmine, speak, and Fig speak, and Patty, I'm coming to you next, so get ready. I heard there's a lot of internal conversations that you're having with yourselves, as well as trying to figure out how to navigate these environments where you actually don't feel maybe that you belong, you don't really understand how you fit in it, how you should move in it. So Patty, a question I have for you, let's go a little bit deeper. How do internalized narrative shape how we see ourselves and others? And you are the perfect person to start this conversation. And I will let everybody get into this one and open up, because Patty and I've had quite a few conversations about the power of words and what you tell yourselves and how that can show up. So how do internalized narrative shape how we see ourselves, how you've seen yourselves, and how others might see us?
First, let me tell y'all, my experience, you all make me happy that I had the experience that I had. I was way older than all of you all when I had to come to an environment that didn't look like me. My whole life, I had people who looked like me, lived in the same neighborhood as me, went to the same schools, and so on and so forth. But I think having that helped me have a stronger hold on to my internal voice. So when I hear outside things, I'm not going to say that it doesn't matter, but it doesn't have an impact on me stronger than the voice that's inside of me. And those voices are from teachers that I had that were Black, my parents, my aunts, my uncles, my cousins, things that I saw on TV, like Jazzmine said, the music. The 90s was a time to be alive. I still live there.
That part.
When it comes to internalizing things, I don't have to internalize like any hurt or pain, because as an adult, you still are subjected to those things. But I had a solid ground before I moved away from what I knew to move into other places. So like I told Corey not too long ago, I remember, you're beautiful, you're smart, you're this, you're that. So what other people are saying, and if it's not coming from a genuine place that's concerning me, it doesn't bother me.
I can't say the same. So I'm going to be vulnerable, right? So everybody, a lot of people think that when you're a strong person or you're a confident person, you have it together all the time.
You don't.
And you do not.
Yes, ma'am.
There are times where I have limiting beliefs about myself, and I might say something that's not necessarily the most positive. Mm-hmm. I'll catch myself, but I'm going to be real. I am not always 100% on. I am not always 100% confident. And for some reason, I felt like I needed to be. Because how I grew up, again, as you all know my story, I grew up in the church. And when you have ministers in your family, and I have a lot of them, you are held to a certain standard. Mm-hmm. You are put on a certain pedestal. Yes, you have certain expectations, right? And unfortunately, it's a pressure that's put on you that you have to live up to these expectations because of your family dynamic and
who you are in the family. Yes, ma'am.
Right. And sometimes you don't even know who you are because you haven't had a chance to determine and explore who you are because you've been told who you are.
So let me add to that. In that aspect, I see what you're saying now. I think, okay, what Garrison explained to me what imposter syndrome is, because I couldn't understand it from other people. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I had that or if I'm just setting realistic goals. When you're unable to set goals for yourself that are realistic and you don't have people around you who have been to the other side and can understand things, maybe you do have a little doubt in yourself. Maybe you do have to keep encouraging yourself, but you're encouraging yourself to do what? That's when the external voices like you, Jazzmine, my new cousin Fig, those things come into play. I got a deeper understanding of what you're saying. Yeah, sometimes my inner voice is very strong, but sometimes the self-doubt, it's not even necessarily from outside. It is the inside. Like, what's taking you so long? I try not to compare myself to other people, but what's taking so long?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Jazzmine, did something resonate with you? Because I thought you were about to come out the screen there a minute ago.
You know, I tell people, I'm like, when you build up resilience, it's not to be in a space where it never hurts you. I think, because I love watching, I don't know if y'all watch Dr. Raquel Martin, but she be reading me for Phil.
Glasses.
Yes.
Natural hair.
She doesn't always wear glasses, but she's dark-skinned
Natural hair.
woman, clinical psychologist online.
Okay, I know who you're talking about.
And she just, you know, there's always this issue about resilience. Like, how do you build resilience? Is it I'm completely shut off? But she talks about like how putting up walls with no self-work is like not boundaries. I said,
It's isolation.
Right, it's isolation. It's all
Mhm.
these other things. Or
Mhm.
if you have no walls and you are completely open and have no boundaries, not helpful to you either. So she always comes back down to the self-work. Like, what do you say? How do you say to yourself? I would say that I still talk poorly to myself, but the difference now compared to before is I can catch it, I can pivot, I can reorient it for power, right? I can process where it's coming from. Like, what is the little Jazzmine struggling with? Because it's not the 37-year-old Jazzmine that's struggling, it's the 9-year-old, right? And that's what I got in counseling, was like the 9-year-old Jazzmine is real deep in here pressing buttons, right? And so sometimes I'm having to tell her, like, we're safe, we're okay. This is not the same thing as when this happened to you, right? Like, I have to tell her oftentimes. But I really resonated with what you're saying. Like, when you are told who you are by the time you're an adult and you've not been able to express, be creative, be curious, be vulnerable, all those things, you struggle as an adult. And I would say one thing that hit me in counseling was, I want to know, my anger comes from the reality of realizing that who I am was shaped from my trauma, and I want to know who I would have become without it. Like, could there be a reality where Jazzmine never had to go into education and really wanted, because I wanted to go into medicine. That's what I wanted to do. But because of my living circumstances, what was pushed on me, I went into journalism, which is so polar opposite, right? What became writer. And I don't regret any of it because I feel successful. I feel like I moved through life and ended up in medicine in a different way. But I was like, I'm mad because everything was pushed on me. When I decided to go to my PhD, that was pushed on me because these are narratives. Like, Black women just got to do this. You're bored, go get a degree. I don't want that for myself. I want something more, something greater, that isn't rooted in what everyone's telling me I need to do, or because I'm bored or I'm uncomfortable or I feel like I don't know enough. Let's go get this certificate. So I'm living my life right now to not have those things. And that's what's important to me today. Because I'm like, I don't want to be 40, 50, 60 years old and still chasing something that isn't there. Right. And I feel like that's breaking generational curses. My mom finally got her doctorate. She's 60 years old. I love that for her. She wanted that. I knew that from infancy, that that's what she wanted. And I watched her struggle to get there. And now she doesn't know what to do with herself. She's like, what else? What am I supposed to do? And I'm looking at her like, ma'am, you've reached the pinnacle. Like, nothing's on the other side of the door. And it's like, nope. And so I was like, okay, I need to do something different because this isn't working the way that I wanted it to. And so I loved how you were like, some of these things are imposed on me as a kid and you don't break it. And by the time you do, you're older and life has passed you. And I just don't want to be that way in this lifetime.
Okay, I'm gonna take it to, so JT and Fig, get ready. The same question is coming to you. But Jazzmine, I want to comment on something you said for other people in the audience who might be listening to this now or might be listening to recording. You said something that was really pivotal there. And you talked about your trauma. And if I had not gone through that, would there have been a different Jazzmine? Let me tell you something about that. I truly believe the trials and tribulations we go through is for a reason. And it is, those tests become your testimony and give you a perspective to walk into your destiny. So even though you went through trauma, I've went through stuff. I understand now why certain things happen and how that has shaped me to be the person that I am, to provide the empathy, to provide the understanding, to provide a space for people who've gone through either things similar or maybe not so similar, but they're trying to make sure they don't go through it. There's a different way that you can connect. So think about the work that you do now. That's why you have such the nurturing, calming, empathetic side of you that's needed. I mean, you doggone doula. I mean, you're dealing with people are bringing life into
You
the
helping
world,
bring life into this world,
and you're
in a
helping them
calm
bring
space.
life into the world. Yeah, in a different space.
That's a
and
big
things
difference.
that you went through help to frame how you interact and how you connect. So for those out there who are going through some things, the resilience, right? Building up the resilience. And I'm going to talk about that for a minute, because I have a feeling that people think that Black people are already resilient. We don't need to build nothing. That's a myth. That's a myth. Stop putting all this pressure on us. But before I go any further, I do want to turn it over to, I do want to hear the male side of this.
Could I add something?
Sure can.
Just really briefly, something I was again reading is so helpful. I want to offer an alternative to what you're saying. So something that I've been thinking through is the way we cope with our trauma is to define it by it being something that was helpful and not hurtful to us. But I also think too that there could be a possibility that we are living a human experience, and where do we start to accept that too? That it isn't just like traumas here or there. We all have some form, shape of trauma, because trauma is a human experience. The world we live in, I mean, you just talked about it today about Minnesota. This is part of living in the world as humans. Humans experience conflict. And how can we start to accept and acknowledge that that's the beautiful part of being human, is that we have multiple ways of experiencing life, and it isn't just this one like thing. Because I feel like we do live in our trauma, we dig in it, we tuck it tight, we carry it with us, it's in our little backpack. But I was like, I don't want to have to carry that, because that was everything that happened to me was because there were poor, miseducated adults that did not know how to do anything other than what they were doing. And so none of that had to do with me. I just was the recipient.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
so some of what I what I think about is like resilience, and also like I am a human being, and that is part of life. Unfortunately, some have more than others when it comes to life circumstances, but I want us I want to offer people another way to engage in that, and to understand that they can find some solace in the fact that everything that happened to you wasn't because of you. It was as a result of other people. And how do you relieve yourself from carrying that burden?
Oh, 100% agree. You got to let go. Some of the things. I don't think it's an alternative. Honestly, Jazzmine, I think it's just a holistic approach. The hurt is the hurt. Your emotions are your emotions. You need to acknowledge those emotions. You need to honor those emotions, but you also don't need to let that particular thing stop you from being the greatness that you are and where you need to go. So I think it's a whole holistic experience, to your point. And each component of it is important to focus on. So that's a really great point. So to our men, whoever wants to start first, how do you all have limiting beliefs, or do you all just have it all together all the time, and you just know what you're doing, and you never talk bad to yourselves because you're the alpha male? And let me stop. Let me stop. Let me stop. I'm trying to start something. How y'all feel?
I'll go ahead and kick off. No, I can resonate with a lot of that. For me, it was growing up to try to figure out what a Black man should be in a white world, right? And so, my aunt used to, every day of every week, she used to tell us, you need to work 2 times harder to be just as successful. And so, at some level, you start thinking about that and even start doing that, right? And to her credit, a lot of that's true in different places. But in addition to that, I think I started deriving success to be, or measuring success to be about, how much money you can make and amass, contrary to what you do, right? Contrary to where you go or who you need to become. It was about just, getting your education and getting a good job and making some money. And so, you pursue education and you pursue credentials, and, you pursue having the greatest resume and all this stuff. And I remember when I started my career, kind of up to that 2020 moment, I felt like I needed to read all the books, right? All the mainstream books that were out there. I felt like I needed to start polishing the way I spoke. And that's true, right? I need to carry myself professional. But I felt like I needed to do all these things to stack up against my peers. What I found was, when those walls came crashing down, those blinders, is that, there's a lot of insecurity that I carried, and so I tried to compensate and make that up in a ton of different ways, right? Talking about what you do, what you don't have, or all kinds of things. And so today, I'm in a very different space, and I'll say that 100% is because of my relationship with the Lord. I don't feel like I need to compare myself. I don't struggle much with insecurity. I struggle with other things and decisions, and but I know where I'm supposed to create value. I have definitive understanding on what purpose I'm given, right, and true identity that can't be shaken on something that I've conjured up for myself, right? And so when I go into those different places and spaces, I see people for who they are, right? Contrary to what they've done, or where they're going. I'm happy for folks. I'll celebrate, but I don't feel like I used to with a measuring stick, or I don't feel like I can't do what they're doing, right? That may or may not be true. And I'm competitive, right? So I'll probably say yes, I can, but at the end of the day, I know what I'm supposed to be doing, and that doesn't make things easy or sugarcoat it, but it just gives me clarity and security on not having to depend on JT, because JT alone will lead you astray, and that goes for me first.
How about you, Fig?
Yeah, this is very insightful. I appreciate everybody sharing kind of their perspectives. It is it's very innocent in the sense of a very pure, like, kind of just getting a chance to resonate. But I'm over here taking some notes, and I'm like, I think where my frustration or my insecurities may lie, honestly, is in my frustrations with other people's expectations of what they think I should be doing. So I, in and of myself, am not insecure. I have a righteous apathy towards life where I'm like, I don't really care. I didn't grow up trying to be some strong black man. My only desire at 12 that I only wanted was like, I just want to have some kids and love have something to love, and they love me back, and that's it. My greatest desire, even to this day, is the freedom to walk on the islands without a care in the world. I never ran, the idea of money. I think I'm the brokest entrepreneur you'll meet. I create business and resource to buy my time. So even in corporate, so I had blinders was a word that's used. I do think I have healthy ignorance. Like I didn't know that black was supposed to be competitive. I didn't desire wealth. I didn't desire status. I didn't, there was nothing about the American dream that I thought was fulfilling. So I think because of that, that helped me to not even venture into where I was supposed to be historically, or, like my idea of Black history starts in England, right? Starts in thinking about, my third, fourth generation of my grandparents as islanders, as people of very simple life, second world, third world people that just didn't really care. I mean, I had parents who I I almost had expected trauma, like as a part of my life, people almost tried to mandate that I found trauma, and I'm like, I don't got no trauma. It's like, or like your parents didn't go to your wrestling meets, or they didn't. Oh yeah, maybe I should be mad about it. I wasn't like, oh yeah, they had stuff to do. They were busy. So I realized that a lot of what I now struggle with is psychological barriers, because as a man of God who is walking in the way of righteousness, I look at my history from a biblical standpoint. I think of like Uncle Abraham, right? And I think about, Auntie Eve, and I think about, like great grandfather Jacob. Like I think of the biblical text as where my history lies, like it, and throughout all of history, slavery was a part of it. So even like to have my perspective on some of the things that are more culturally sensitive, there's a social expectation that I should feel a certain way about certain things. I should vote a certain way. I should dress a certain way. I should express a certain way. I should count a certain way. I should there's these expectations that comes. I should live a certain way. I should believe a certain thing. And if I don't, I am not conforming into the same narrative that the people who look like me is trying to break out of. But because I'm not in it, it's almost like, no, you should get into it and then try to break back out of it. I'm like, why the hell would I do that? I'm not in it. So no, I don't. So for me, I think I struggle with now being more in the social light and being more having, like JT says, trying to grow professionally and having a responsibility of managing people, managing resources, that I now need to have I need to be more socially responsible in my decision making, right? But not for the sake of me, but for the legacy that inherently God has given me to say, hey, you have to do this particular thing. You have a family, you have a wife, you got these things, so I understand that there are responsibilities and responses to the responsibility. But part of my frustration is like, I hate the fact that I have to think. I hate the fact that I have to almost feel, as if I'll say feel, because it may not even be true. It could just be, I could be imposing these feelings. I have to feel as if I have to subject myself to the struggle first before I could start and then go and build myself out of the struggle and say, create it first, then go build out of it, and then do it in the way that it's measurable. Then it's that we could explain, we could have an understanding of what you're doing. So now that right there causes the frustrations. That's like, should I really be doing this? Now I'm second guessing everything. So now the insecurity is now derived, not because I feel any kind of way about Fig, but it's like, how is everybody else going to think about what Fig is doing? And that has now become more of a narrative that I have to live in, this idea of, crap, okay, hey, what am I supposed to say about, like, okay, what is this supposed, so I shouldn't be doing, but ain't so-and-so. So now a lot of it is having to learn what the expectations are, so then not that I could live them, so I can navigate them. So that makes it to where, almost for me, how do I unapologetically be authentic, but yet have to code switch to go back and uncode switch? And it becomes very frustrating, and it becomes, it's like, doggone, like, man, like, let me get about this weird country, man. These mugs is nuts, like what they want from me, I'm just like, you don't know. So for me, I think, rather than thinking through the lens of insecurity, I believe I live through the lens of frustrations, where I'm constantly having to explain why I'm different, explain why I see different, explain why I live different, explain why I see the Bible different, explain why I worship different, explain why, I'm not doing the things that has been measured in the book. And like, well, why aren't you doing that? You should be. Wait a minute. Like, I thought we were supposed to be changing the narratives. Now I'm actually changing the narratives. I was too stupid to know I shouldn't even start a school. Like, why are you starting a school? Because we needed one. I mean, it just made sense to me. I didn't think that I couldn't do it. I was like, oh, I'm going to be this black founder of this school. Like, it's just like, daggone, these other people tripping it. They're not helping these kids. Somebody got to do it. I might as well do it. Well, how you going to do it? I don't know. It's just, do some stuff, call some people, find a bill, And so for me, the confidence came in, I don't have a fear of failing because there's nothing to lose. Like, what am I losing? Yeah, I don't got nothing to lose. I mean, I'm going to go see my maker and I just need to stand before him. And he's going to say, did you do what I tell you to do? And I'm like, either yes or no. And my hope is I say yes. But in the process of it, I do think that I have developed the trauma of insecurity because it almost felt like I had to in order to navigate this world of existence that I live in. So I hope that answers it. But yes, definitely more frustration than it is insecurity.
Well, you know what? I want to go deeper on this, y'all. I need to go deeper on this topic because I think this is all of our lived experiences on this phone call. And if I am wrong and I'm speaking out of turn, you all correct me. But I do feel some of what Fig is saying as far as people trying to tell you what you need to do. And it's very interesting to me how you don't hear from people when you are building and when you are trying to get stuff together. But the minute you get a hot second of visibility, or you do something great, or you started something that's now a movement, all of a sudden now everybody has unsolicited advice on how you should move and what you should say and how you should act. I'm getting some of that right now myself. And Fig, I have to say, it is, you call it frustration. Some of it's frustration. Some of it to me is anger because you now coming all up into my space and you've never supported me. When I've asked for help, you were not there. When I needed that encouragement and support, you were not there. But now all of a sudden you want to be there. And I don't want you to be there. I don't need you to be there. I don't want you close to my circle. I don't need you. You're not going to elevate with me. So have 10,000 seats. Because I know the people who were rocking with me when I was at my lowest, who were there to pick me up and help me. And that was not you. And now you trying to insert yourself. And I get it because it does make you think, why am I doing this? Should I be doing this? Why am I busting my tail doing all this work and I got all these people on my back always trying to stop me or got something to say? It got me over here stressed out. So I feel you. That is actually a part of my lived experience. I don't know if any of the rest of y'all felt that because all of us on here are entrepreneurs. Whether you have a nonprofit or for-profit, we're entrepreneurs. And I'm going to tell you, 2026 is going to be a rude awakening for some people who've been around me because you are not coming with me. You are not helping me. I am not elevating you. I'm not doing it because what I'm not going to do is be stressed out in 26. You're not going to do that to me because I'm getting older, y'all, and that stress will kill you quicker. I ain't got time for that. And I'm not allowing it. And I actually put it out it's out in the atmosphere now. It is what it is. But do any of the rest of y'all feel that? I mean, I just gotta say what I might regret saying this later, but no, I'm not, because it's the truth. I ain't gonna regret it. I said what I said and I meant it. That's what I got.
For me, it's inside. It's not outside people. It's people who were born in the same family as me. I
like the way you said that, Fatty.
I'm very naive when it comes to things. And I don't know if for me, it's a good thing because it allows me, like Fig, to ignore things that are not about me. Because what you think about me has nothing to do with what really is about me. But to realize that there are people who have opinions and they express it to other people, but they won't express it to you. They won't come to you in good faith that you'll take it in a positive manner and try to work with it and see it, especially you being around me. I would hope that you would want what's good for me. I don't have the mentality, I got haters and let them hate and I'm going to shine. I'm just going to be who I'm going to be. I know what my why is. I'm going to keep that in front of me. And if you see me, you see me, but you can't dim my light.
Come on.
So when we, like Fig said, we spend too much time trying to figure out how we gonna please other people and what they gonna think, when half the things that people say, they don't even care about and they don't even think about after they say it. They do it to get you riled up, to get you thinking negatively, and then they're done with it. So if I don't like what you say and I don't like how you behave, I just won't put myself in an environment with you. So when something happens, there is a party, there is a outing, there's anything. If I don't feel like it, people already know I'm not going. Who's going to make me? And you have to protect yourself from people because you think that they have something good for you, and you could be collateral damage.
Come on.
And I stopped taking things personally as well, because it is what it is and they're going to do what they want to do. If I take it personally, then I'm going to hold it internally and they're going to move on with their lives. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to be around the people who speak things into me, good things. I want somebody who's going to tell me when I'm wrong. I want you to give me a pat on the back when I'm doing right. And if you got something for me, let me know. And if I don't want it, then I don't have to take it. But salvation is for self.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good. But just real quick, I to an earlier point that I know we was making about like what's the problem with us. I think what we all three of us just kind of mentioned is the development of defense mechanisms, right? It's like some of these things just you get developed for your own, like Jazzmine said it beautifully. Even JT was just like, sometimes we're not defensive. It's like we're protective, right? It's like, so what may seem like, oh, we're on the defense all the time. It's just like, you know, those are like almost want to take preventative measures. Like, you know what, just because, like, you know, so it helps bring, like, this conversation brings even more illumination to what Jazzmine and JT was speaking about earlier, like as they were switching through, because my switch through goes from essentially no one knowing who I am to now I'm in the culture of, you know, the public eye, and like now that new world now is just like, you know, let me develop those blinders for the sake of not stressing, right, and the sake of actually being productive and not thinking, oh my gosh, should I do X, Y, and Z? So I think that's a great point. Like, it is a developed protective mechanism or a defense mechanism that you almost have to have, and unfortunately others may feel some kind of way, and then that's even where more vitriol is that, oh, they think that they da, but it's like, what else do you want me to do? What else do you want me to do? So I think that's a valid perspective that helped me see earlier about where those blinders, like, oh, okay, I could blinders, that makes sense, is to stay focused, right? Keep your eyes on what's the important things, because if not, you know, to protect your own peace. So yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and to those points, I mean, and you know, Paul, you mentioned the term, you know, your circle. I think one of the challenges that I had when I had those blinders is, you know, one of them was, hey, you need to have this many friends, and you know, you need to be in a kind of a popular space and spotlight. And again, one of the conjured up things that you know, I thought was the truth. And as I mature just in community and business and family everywhere, right? You know, I try to categorize those people, right? And just people all together, right? So you know, you have your associates and acquaintances in the outer circle. And these may be people that you see at networking events, or maybe they're out in the community. You guys know each other's names. And then you have your casual relationships, right? These may be just people you see at ball games or kid events, or you go to happy hour with, right? And then you have your circle, right? Your friendship circle, right? Your depth of relationships where you can exchange healthy conflict, and you can trust with vulnerability, and you can go deeper. And I think that's a very, very finite space that we do have to protect. But you know, part of my struggle was combing as many people as I could into that space because I felt like it was the right thing to do, right? So, you know, in that categorization, it really helps me protect my energy, my space, my time, my oxygen, because you get a real read for a lot of people very, very quickly, right? And so, we do have to be protective um, on a regular.
Agree, agree. Jasmine, what you over there contemplating and thinking, girl?
Yeah, you.
You thinking about something? What you got to say? Because I have a
Well,
feeling you
we
about to
just had
drop
this
a gem.
conversation.
We
Just
sure
had this.
did.
And
We sure
so
did.
what I told Paula, because part of it is it's like I'm gonna speak for myself. I'm not gonna comment on nothing y'all said. So what I've realized is the way that like some of the things you said, I said the same thing for myself. And what I came to realize sitting with myself is I'm angry at me. I'm angry at me for allowing some things to happen, for allowing some people in my space, for allowing my energy to be taken from me without my permission. Like I had a lot of allowance. And when I looked to see what was in my hand, what was in my bank account, what was in my piece, what was in my purpose, all those things were empty because I was just sitting here just putting all these little nuggets into people's things. Um, my husband and I, because he's on the side of my head, it's like we talk about reconciliation. So the true issue of like what we're talking about is like we have to reconcile within ourselves. Like what is the actual like response? So Faye, you said it's about protection. When we're talking about the haters and people not doing this and that, it's like because those things are happening, we are going to protect ourselves, which then creates a deficit in us because as Black people, we are communal. We are communal first. So I tell people you're working against who you actually are supposed to be by only feeding into this one narrative of how you're experiencing people. What I'm doing now is I'm moving in silence. I don't have to make an announcement. This is, you will see what you need to see. And I don't mind that you're in the stands. You may be in the front row, you may be in the back, you may be in the parking lot. I don't care where you at. But if you're going to see it, I hope that you do. And I hope that it speaks to you and inspires you to do something for yourself. And not to say that I'm this holier than thou person. And I don't always backtrack because I talk a lot of crap with my friends and we have a very small circle. But we lift each other up at the end of the day too, because we're also holding each other accountable when we're having those types of conversations about what is and isn't happening. I think something unique here when I moved here was I was told but not told you have to be with certain people to do certain things. And I think what pissed people off the most was I showed them I didn't need them. And I think that is what's critical, that you keep doing what you're doing. My purpose and who's on my back has nothing to do with me. God had already put it on me, and I have to carry some people because God told me I had to carry some people, right? And sometimes you're going to put them down along the way. Cool. But I had this thought like, do I still do birth work? I've been through so much trauma doing birth work here. Not to say I wouldn't have it any other place, but because this place is so small, it feels so burdensome. It feels heavier than it would be in a major city where I could move about spaces with people. Everybody named Mama related to somebody, knows somebody. So I'm always getting hit, right? Every time I find something to do and work with, it just feels like it's like hitting a brick wall a little bit. And I used to get mad at myself because I'm like, what is going on? But the reality of it is you have to go back and reconcile how when we're experiencing these things from people or in situations, how are we internalizing it? That I'm not over here creating gates for myself because I would be blocking out blessings that I would say are going to move me somewhere else. Because that's the third thing I want to say is that you want to stay where you are because that's what's comfortable and knowing for you, right? People always ask me, are you going to leave Iowa at some point? That's neither here nor there. Part of it is I am mobile and ready to move. My job is statewide. So I'm always meeting and engaging with new people every day, which allows me opportunities in the state and out of the state. So part of it is that's not the issue. I need to make sure that when I'm experiencing people, experiencing things, I'm not internalizing the one little comment. They don't know that comment hit you sore, right? I give another example. was talking to my husband about I'm doing this book club, and I'm doing it in a different way. I've done book clubs for many years, but I'm doing it in a different way. And so I'm much more sensitive right now because of that. So any little thing, it's like it's going to feel like less of a needle and more of a hammer, just like. But I know myself well enough to know that I'm more sensitive now because I'm trying something different. I'm doing it something in a new way. I know that, these comments are going to come up because they are. It is what it is. People are dumb. But just always ask yourself the question of like, why am I responding this way? Like when this person said it, who said it? Am I more mad at myself? Like, am I ashamed? Am I fearing anything? Am I diluting anything? Am I misinterpreting? And we talked about those blinders, right? And are my blinders up and I just want to be convinced like this person isn't who they say they are? My dad always says, trust people for who people are going to be. They're going to be who they're going to be. That's it. So we sit here and feel betrayed and all that. It's going to happen, right? And you're going to have amazing people in your life, and they're going to float away because they have spent that time with you for that season. Let them go. More people will come. And I trust that for myself, that the right people are going to come to me at the right time. Right now, I'm very isolated, and I'm okay with that because now it lets me hear my voice more than if I was sitting in a meeting with 30 people, not knowing what I even want to do. And I'm over here making somebody's dreams happen like I did before. So I'm like, I want to make my own dreams happen. So part of that is being isolated and being comfortable and confident in your isolation. So I'm like, hey, and sometimes, yes, some people you want to roll over in your car and you're going to go tell your friend, I'm going to come over, back it up, say what you need to say.
A couple times.
Within reason and in a small space where somebody ain't gonna be a bone carrier, right? Because sometimes we want to let loose on social media with people that go carry them bones. We don't need that either.
Don't let them do it.
Don't do it. So you got to be careful about your circle. What they say, your grandma say you're gonna have less than this many people in your life by the time you get old and gray. It's like, yeah, I'm already there. I'm 37. I can count on one hand the people that know me, like fully, naked, afraid, frustrated, annoyed. Like, yes, 1000%.
Back to the lonely. My father taught me, and I swear this is one thing that I live by. There's a difference between being alone and lonely. I am alone a lot of the times, but I am okay with who I am. So I be laughing my own jokes. I be having the time of my life.
Talking to myself, answering my own questions.
In my home. Yes, because I'm not lonely. There are people here who I can go out and see, go walk around. I can go to Paula Sepp class. I was actually thinking about doing Jazzmine's class just to get around different people. But there's a difference, like Fig said, when people want you to be something, but you're okay with who you are. So even when you're alone, you're not lonely. You're not lonely. And that sometimes that can make all the difference between you being sad and wanting to move. Because when I get bored, I be wanting to move, like out of state, different places, because I'm bored. I don't have anything that holds me to a space anymore. Both of parents are deceased, so I don't have a mother and father to go visit. So if I wake up tomorrow and say I want to go to Arizona, I got to remember that Project Bridging is here, but I'll be ready to go. I'll be packing the dishes before I know it. But there is a difference between being lonely and alone. And I'm like you, Jazzmine. I'm fine with being alone.
So what's interesting? Well, first of all, thank you all, because we are over 8 o'clock Central Time. So I want to be respectful of everybody's time. This is great conversation. I do want to say this, though, to bring it all together, because this was a lot, right? You heard all of us have different lived experiences. And based on those lived experiences, dictate how we move. There's no right or wrong answer. At the end of the day, it comes down to this: protect your peace, protect your energy, know your purpose, know your why, and stay grounded in who you are. At the end of the day, you do those things, you are always going to have the naysayers. You're always going to have the people who are going to cheer you on. And as you heard, you will have people who are in your life for a reason, for a season, and a lifetime. And it's really important you don't confuse those people and put them in the wrong category, because that's when you have issues. I also feel this is a Paula Bellism. This is not something that I have any stats on or anything like that. But if people are coming at you with the negative or coming at you hard, it's because you're doing something right. It has nothing to do with you. It has to do with the other person's insecurity. Nothing to do with you at all. So if somebody's coming for you and coming for you hard, constantly critiquing you, constantly wanting to prove you wrong, constantly wanting to always has something to say, let them say what they got to say. That means you're doing something right. Keep doing you and apply even more pressure. Just keep applying that pressure and staying rooted in your why. Because again, I'm a Christian, and look at what Jesus went through. So therefore, if the person that I believe in went through all of that, from the crucifixion and all, what makes me really any different, right? So all of our lived experiences are different, and all of us are at different places. Jazzmine is in a place now that I was in probably 10 years ago. I'm past the isolation. I'm past that stage, but I needed that stage to prepare me for what the next chapter of my life is. All of us are in different spaces. So can we just respect each other and just allow people to do them and be them, and stop trying. If it's none of your business, stay out of it. If you're not adding any value, it's best you just keep your mouth shut. If you haven't been asked, it's best you just keep your mouth shut. Because at the end of the day, karma is something, y'all. Karma will get you. And what the seeds you sow will harvest. So I'm just saying, watch how you moving. Because I'm going to tell you right now, these 4 on this screen, you mess with any one of them, you got an issue with Ninja P. Okay, I'm going to tell you that right now.
What you're saying is like, oh, that, when your tire get busted, that's your karma for messing with me. That's what you're like.
That's what I'm saying. And as you talk about communal, right? We're a village, right? We all offer different expertise and whatnot. You're not going to come from my village and I'm not going to fight back. That's just not how I was raised. That's just not how I roll. You're not coming from my people. We did. And I'm not going to change. I'm telling you that I believe this is my
we don't have to do that.
Hey, I'm with you on this one, sis. I'm with you on this one.
No, with y'all, like,
no,
because we
older,
we
older, and we no, you don't. Family is family to me. You mess with my family, I'm gonna rise up. Family is family to me, and now that doesn't mean I have to rise up laying hands. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not going to get violent or anything like that. I might just have to get on my knees and just pray a little harder to remove the obstacles.
That works.
Or I might have to come and say, you know what, Jazzmine, you go over there and you go on vacation. I got this for you, because I'm not going to allow this energy to come towards you. I'm supposed to be your covering for this moment.
Okay.
Right. I'm supposed to uplift you. I'm supposed to stand in the gap. What happened to that?
Come on.
Standing in the gap for people. If you're not at your 100, why can't I stand in the gap? If you're at 80, why can't I stand in the gap for that 20? Why can't we go back to that?
That's what you're supposed to do. That's why my program is Bridging the Gap. My father said you are supposed to stand in the gap to help those who do not have get what they need.
Right. And that's what I mean by that. I will go hard for the people in my village, because you're my village. You sustain me. Right? You go just like animals. Animals protect their children, just like we protect our kids. Come on now. It ain't no different. So I just had to put the disclaimer out there.
Maybe we talk about that. Like, what does it mean going hard, right? Because I don't think people know how to be a village. I think people like the village mentality. They don't know how to be a villager. And that's been the biggest issue here with me and experience, because I love my friends. They're fantastic, and folks want to tie themselves to us. But we always realize when we bring people in, they don't know about reciprocity. They don't know about community. They don't know about celebration. They don't know about I always say when one of them is great and excelling, I'm like, look, the God's in the neighborhood, so you should be able to just celebrate your friends without knowing or comparing or confusing, like, oh, why they get it and I didn't. Like, people don't know how to be villagers, and that is the issue, that we are not explaining it to them and showing it because we've had to protect ourselves.
Doggone it, you just added an episode 5.
Don't you do that.
Let's
talk to villager one-on-one. Let's go.
With it. Community is everything to me.
And we're just gonna walk through it together.
Yeah. Community is a big thing, like Paula said, whether they're your relatives or not. Community is big. It holds you up. And people think, oh, it's not important, or I don't have any friends. All that is very important. It adds to the positive things in you and about you. So I'm with it. I agree. We do need to practice more being a village and teaching people how, because we do a lot of assuming. We do a lot of assuming. And when we assume, we really miss out on key moments where we could be adding to someone else and building their village with them as well.
Yeah, that sounds like the next episode. That ain't gonna be episode 5. It's gonna be episode 3. 4 and 5 gonna get moved down.
Village people.
That sounds amazing. I love that. But okay, so we are like 15 minutes over. So let people go eat their dinner and do whatever they need to do. If you all want to stay connected, Jazzmine, JT, Patty, and Fig are all on LinkedIn. They are on other social media platforms. I would say hit them up on LinkedIn first and see. That's the professional side, because some of y'all try to become my friend on Instagram on my personal page, and I'm not letting you in. I need my privacy. So just let them. I'm just being real, y'all. Just hit them up on LinkedIn first and let them add you to where you need to be in the right space. Saying that, I'm gonna add to the stage. This is all of my social where you can follow me for Sensei Speaks. You all know I'm all over social media, so you can find me quite easily. So if you need that, here it is. For those, my wonderful village of life without the filter, remember, stay online and don't drop once you see the outro go. But it's been a pleasure, you all. Remember to protect your peace, honor your purpose, and for all things, speak your truth, not somebody else's. With that, we will see you whenever we see you next with this crew. But we do this monthly. But who knows? I'll get with the crew and figure out when we're going to do episode 3, which is going to be about village and community building. I like that. I think we need to talk about that, and we need that more and more. So it's been real, y'all. See you next time.